But first, today, the city of Charlottesville is preparing for thousands to gather in the city for protests and counter-protests this weekend. And right now, a federal judge is hearing arguments over an injunction dealing with the rally's location.
Live in high definition from the area's most experienced news team, this is NBC29 HD News at Noon.
Just this morning, a Virginia State Police helicopter was seen circling around the downtown Charlottesville parks. At this point, State Police confirmed they were scouting the area ahead of tomorrow's anticipated Unite the Right rally. Two civil rights groups are hoping a federal judge will grant an emergency injunction today over the location of the Unite the Right rally.
The Rutherford Institute and ACLU both say the city's decision to move the rally out of the downtown area is against the organizers' right to free speech. That injunction hearing is happening right now inside federal court in Charlottesville because the rally is set for tomorrow.
Many of us are just normal white people who are trying to stand up for our interests.
But the big story tonight, all eyes are on Charlottesville as the city prepares for the potential of thousands of people tomorrow in downtown. We're also awaiting a federal judge's decision on a temporary injunction over the Unite the Right rally.
That judge listened to arguments for about 2 hours this afternoon and says it could take several hours to even make a decision. NBC29's Henry Graff is in Emancipation Park with the latest developments. Good evening, Henry.
Sharon, Casey, good evening. Yeah, a lot going on right now. First, here in Emancipation Park, where we have already a strong police presence here at this hour. A number of officers off to the side here at this moment in time. In federal court, that court case, Jason Kessler's attorneys said the city's decision to move the location of that rally from here to McIntyre Park constitutes discrimination. The city's attorney said, for its part, it was moved because of crowd size. Police set up metal barriers here all around Emancipation Park earlier today. They will be used to contain and control the crowd. Up to 6,000 people are expected to attend either the Unite the Right rally or counter demonstrations happening tomorrow. For his part, Kessler says he will hold his rally at this park, Emancipation Park, no matter what a federal court judge decides.
Obviously, a big part of it is going to be free speech at this point because of the case, but it's also going to be preservation of the monument and the right for white people to be able to advocate for their own interests, just like any other group is able to do, free of stigma.
A state police helicopter was spotted in the air above downtown today. A police spokesperson would only say that helicopter was being used in advance of the Unite the Right rally. Now back to that expected federal court decision on that temporary injunction. The judge did point out in court today, Sharon, here that the city did not move the other permitted events that are happening in downtown tomorrow at McGuffey and Justice Parks, and that the city really didn't articulate a real reason why it would be better to have the rally in McIntyre Park versus this park.
All right, we'll wait for that decision later on this evening. Henry Graff in Emancipation Park in Charlottesville this evening. Henry, thank you. Much of the preparations, as Henry mentioned, started earlier today at Emancipation Park. Now at McIntyre Park, where the city is hoping to move the rally, no barricades are up as of this afternoon. The park has much more open space and more parking than downtown.
Charlottesville city officials were on hand at City Space this afternoon to speak about the city's latest preparations ahead of tomorrow's rally. NBC29's Pete DeLuca joins us live in our Charlottesville newsroom with more on that. Hi, Pete.
Good evening, Casey. City officials say their #1 concern at tomorrow's rally is safety, and they will respect the First Amendment rights of everyone, but will not tolerate violence. City Manager Maurice Jones, Mayor Mike Signer, Fire Chief Andrew Baxter, and Police Chief Al Thomas were all on hand for the press conference.
Albemarle County Police are trying to figure out what happened in some sort of scene that unfolded at the Walmart parking lot. That happened this afternoon. Officers responded to the store just about 12:20 after customers reported seeing a group of people pointing guns in the parking lot. Christopher Cantwell, who is a leader of the alt-right movement, is reportedly one of the people involved in that incident. Cantwell is scheduled to speak during tomorrow's rally.
They were carrying weapons, open carry, which is legal in Virginia. The weapon was not concealed, and they all checked out okay where they could carry a weapon.
Police tell NBC29 they did not arrest anyone.
If the situation seems like it's getting dangerous or out of control, police have the power to declare an unlawful assembly at any event unfolding tomorrow. State code says an unlawful assembly happens when 3 or more people come together with a threat of violence. Last month, police declared an unlawful assembly during the Ku Klux Klan rally and used tear gas on counter-protesters.
It's mainly used in 2 different connections. The first connection is, let's say there's been a crime and a big crowd has gathered around the scene of the crime and they want everybody to disperse, to get away. The second thing is where it's been a political protest and they want everybody to go away.
Unlawful assembly is a Class 1 misdemeanor, but if you have a weapon, police could charge you with a felony.
The Virginia National Guard is on standby tomorrow, and following the lead of Charlottesville police, the National Guard will be ready to step in if needed. Local police are taking the lead, though, again with the security and the safety precautions. Now, in case the National Guard does step in, they will provide safe movement for people and also assist in the safety and security of people who attend and also of the officers there.
Governor Terry McAuliffe says the state is prepared for the worst if it does happen tomorrow. According to the governor, quote, "In the event that such violent or unlawful conduct occurs, I have instructed state public safety officials to act quickly and decisively in order to keep the public and themselves safe." McAuliffe is also encouraging Virginians, no matter what side they're on, to stay away from the rally.
Hundreds of religious leaders, though, are descending on Charlottesville tonight and tomorrow to protest tomorrow's rally. NBC29's Taylor Gleason is in downtown Charlottesville with the details on that. Hi, Taylor.
Well, the Charlottesville Clergy Collective has called for over 1,000 religious leaders across the country to show up and represent religious love during tomorrow's event. Right now, we know of hundreds of religious leaders that'll be showing up this evening. Now, the clergy members from states like New York and Florida are arriving to march through downtown tomorrow to face the Unite the Right protesters head on. The Clergy Collective led a similar march back during the KKK event in July and is expecting tomorrow's demonstration to be even bigger.
And just a reminder, police are closing parking and some streets for tomorrow's events. Beginning tonight, portions of 2nd Street Northeast and 1st Street North are closed to parking and traffic. All the closure information is at NBC29.com. And you can count on NBC29 for complete coverage of tomorrow's Unite the Right rally on NBC29 News at 6, 10, and 11. You'll also get live updates on Twitter, Facebook, and NBC29.com. Late tonight, a federal judge in Charlottesville gave the green light for the Unite the Right rally to be held in Emancipation Park. Late tonight, hundreds gathered on grounds at the University of Virginia for a torch-lit rally. NBC29's Megan Moriarty was there. She joins us live from outside the rotunda with more tonight. Hi, Megan.
Good evening, Casey. Tonight, several hundred Unite the Right rally supporters gathered with lit tiki torches on Nameless Field at the University of Virginia. They then marched up through the grounds, up the lawn and around the rotunda. When they got to the Jefferson statue, they were met by counter-protesters. That's when physical fights broke out. Punches were thrown, there was pushing and shoving, there was also some sort of chemical irritant sprayed, and the lit tiki torches were being used as spears. Police showed up just as the fights were almost over. They ruled it an unlawful assembly and people cleared out. Right now, we are pretty sure that there is no indication that anyone was seriously injured. Live on the University of Virginia grounds, Megan Moriarty, NBC29 News at 11.
The University of Virginia is responding after hundreds of torch-wielding Unite the Right supporters marched on grounds. Good morning, Charlottesville. Thanks for joining us this morning on your News at Sunrise. I'm Victoria Resolo. In a response to that torch-lit rally, the University of Virginia is responding with a statement from its president, Teresa Sullivan, saying she was deeply saddened by the protesters, saying in part, quote, "The violence displayed on grounds is intolerable and is entirely inconsistent with the university values." Just a few miles away, a prayer service also drew over 650 people as the people of Charlottesville gather in retaliation to today's rally. St. Paul's Memorial Church held a prayer vigil last night to send a message that they are, quote, opposed to the hatred and division being promoted by the Unite the Right rally. The church was filled to capacity just 15 minutes after the event began, and moderators had to actually turn people away.
And what we've got going on right now, Patrick, we'll swing over here if we can see right here. So we've got people who are in the way of the state police right now who are trying to clear East Market Street here right in front of the library at this moment in time. Another big question here too, Sharon, is how do police let this get to this point in time? I mean, we had so many, I don't know what you saw, but fights just breaking out between people.
I
actually saw several fights. I had people walking up to me because they saw that I had a photographer with me, and they said, "Where are the police now? Why aren't they breaking in with this?" And it was at that moment we actually saw some of our Virginia State policemen running across a back parking lot, grabbing what looked like basically go bags, and I thought they are about to do something.
I think the people I've talked with so far this morning have just been in disbelief and in awe that this was able to happen. And I think we too were in awe of how quickly this became a gathering. I mean, I was down on the ground here at 9 o'clock this morning, and we already had people who were part of the Unite the Right rally already here. We had counter demonstrators who were already here. Police, everybody were ready to go. I mean, Emancipation Park was full of police the entire time when we got there.
Yeah, they were on the outskirts. They were inside the park. Not too many police officers down on the street, which is why I think a lot of those fights broke out down there.
And watching really in real time now unfolding to see exactly what police are doing here with the counter demonstrators that had gathered here in Justice Park in Court Square where we are right now. We'll just...
And we see here a few people. I'm assuming that's Solidarity Charlottesville. They have Solidarity on their signs, and they very well. Let's listen in for a minute. You're getting a taste of what we heard at Emancipation Park earlier today before the violence broke out. But of course, these protesters, these people out here are primarily the people protesting the alt-right.
All of this, the clash between opposing groups took over the streets of Charlottesville even before that Unite the Right rally's scheduled noon start could get underway.
Take a look. The pro-white groups and counter demonstrators spent about 2 hours in repeated skirmishes on East Market Street. State police say people threw cans full of concrete at each other, along with pepper spray, tear gas. They used other weapons. Police declared an unlawful assembly just prior to the rally's official start time.
I don't think this is not a proud day for Charlottesville. It's not a proud day for Virginia to see two opposing groups who have sides, that they have a freedom of speech, but to turn to violence is not the way.
Happening right now, we have unconfirmed reports a state police helicopter is down in Albemarle County.
This is all happening on Old Farm Road. That's near the Bel Air subdivision. NBC29's Casey Hott is on the scene of this breaking story with the details. Casey?
All right, hi Sharon and Matt. We are live in Charlottesville's Bel Air neighborhood right now. It's right near the Birdwood Golf Course here in Charlottesville.
Go home. You are not wanted in this great Commonwealth. Shame on you.
Tonight, Virginia's governor denounces hate and bigotry after a deadly day of violence and terror downtown Charlottesville.
What the world saw today is not the place Charlottesville is. Outsiders do not tell our story.
Supporters of the Unite the Right rally march, some armed like a militia, into Emancipation Park to exercise their free speech right.
I'm just coming out here to support against the removal of the statue of Robert E. Lee.
But before the rally could even begin, violent clashes break out between supporters and counter-protesters. Police order everyone out of the park.
By authority of the Commonwealth of Virginia, this event has been declared an unlawful assembly.
Virginia's governor declares a state of emergency, mobilizing the National Guard to respond to the chaos in Charlottesville.
I don't think this is not a proud day for Charlottesville. It's not a proud day for Virginia.
Now, our community prays for peace.
Everyone who came here today is going to go home to wherever they came from, and we're going to be left here picking up the pieces.
And hopes to heal following a day of hell. NBC29 team coverage starts right now.
First tonight, a scene of horror on Charlottesville's downtown mall as a car plows into a crowd of protesters, killing a 32-year-old woman. We've edited the video at the moment of impact, but watch it from a different angle. The car flies down 4th Street through the mall. The driver backs up that one-way street and zooms away from the scene. More than a dozen people are hurt tonight. A crowd gathered around the injured as people with medical training rushed to help. Tonight, the man suspected of driving that car into the crowd is charged with second-degree murder and 3 counts of malicious wounding. 20-year-old James Alex Fields Jr., right there from Maumee, Ohio, is held without bond at Albemarle Charlottesville Regional Jail tonight. This is video of officers arresting Field on Monticello Avenue in Charlottesville. The whole scene played out about 1:30 this afternoon along 4th Street crossing on the downtown mall. You see people scattering there. This drone footage showing the impact as it happened. A silver Dodge Charger appeared to back up, then took a running start into a group of counter demonstrators as they tried to make their way onto the mall.
And just went flying everywhere, the pedestrians. And I mean, it's the most horrific thing I've ever seen in my life.
There was blood all over the street. The car did not have any plates. Tinted out windows, we couldn't even see them. It seemed like it was planned.
Many of those people were laying at the scene while police and first responders provided medical care. The victim's name has not been released. But tonight, a moment of silence was held in McGuffey Park for that woman killed in the crash.
If they have to go to those means to lash out at us, that means they're scared.
Those groups on hand paid tribute to the victim, and flowers and remembrances were placed in the park. Tonight, the Charlottesville community is mourning the loss of that woman's life. People gathered on the downtown mall near the crash scene and at the University of Virginia. NBC29's Megan Moriarty is in our Charlottesville newsroom now with that part of the story. Good evening, Megan.
Hi, Matt. Tonight, people are mourning the loss of a woman who lost her life today. Emotions are high in the Charlottesville area, and people are gathering today to have visuals for this woman. People lit candles and laid flowers and comforted one another on the downtown mall near the scene of that deadly attack along 4th Street tonight. Another group gathered at the University of Virginia where they had hoped to hold a vigil that didn't quite come to fruition. Many of them are just beginning to process what happened in Charlottesville today.
This didn't just injure, protesters. There were people in those cars that got hit, that were injured, and I don't think there's anything scarier than looking at a windshield and seeing specks of blood. Now I'm starting to begin able to process. I saw a girl die today. I saw a woman die. That's really hard.
We definitely at least wanted to come by and honor what was a murder victim. It was a terrorism victim. Tomorrow everyone's going to be gone. Everyone who came here today is going to go home to wherever they came from, and we're going to be left here picking up the pieces.
A lot of people are still shaken up from today's events. Although many of the people didn't personally know this woman and her identity has still not been released, it's still a sad and difficult time, especially for those who witnessed the scene.
Yeah, very disturbing, very despicable situation there tonight. Megan Moriarty in our Charlottesville newsroom. Thank you, Megan. Tonight, Virginia State Police are also mourning the loss of 2 members of an aviation team killed in a helicopter crash following today's rally. The Bell 407 helicopter went down in the woods along Old Farm Road in Albemarle County just before 5 o'clock this evening. The pilot, 48-year-old H.J. Cullen of Midlothian, and trooper pilot Burke M.M. Bates of Quinton died at the scene. No one on the ground was hurt.
We kind of saw like a billow of smoke, I guess, above the trees over there. My friend had just driven over and he was driving down 64 and he said he saw like a large billow of smoke kind of come up as he was coming over.
The cause of the crash remains under investigation. A state police spokesperson says there is no indication of foul play being a factor in that crash. The helicopter was part of that public safety response to today's rally. It was a bloody day in downtown Charlottesville. As members of the Unite the Right rally arrived at Emancipation Park, counter-demonstrators descended on them. For hours, large fights broke out between the groups before police declared that unlawful assembly. NBC29's Henry Graff was there.
Clashes in downtown streets.
You want to live in a country where you can't even stay away from diseases that will kill you, to be the white man cured?
Between Unite the Right demonstrators and counter-demonstrators. A violent day in the city of Charlottesville that brought the governor here with a powerful message.
I have a message to all the white supremacists and the Nazis who came into Charlottesville today. Our message is plain and simple. Go home. You are not wanted.
For almost 2 hours, demonstrators and counter-demonstrators fought Saturday morning at Emancipation Park. They threw metal cans full of concrete, tear gas bottles, and other projectiles at each other.
Honestly, I hope I get to punch a communist again today. That's really kind of why I'm out here.
We were hoping it would not turn to this, and unfortunately, both sides left us with no choice.
An unlawful assembly has been declared. Police in riot gear now pushing people out of the park into the streets of Charlottesville, where there are counter-demonstrators waiting for them.
The premeditated violence that our community experienced today was completely unacceptable. The situation escalated rapidly into violence.
Virginia State Police say at least one person was arrested in connection with the clashes between demonstrators.
This day will not define us. We will define this day by the story that we continue to tell.
In Charlottesville, Henry Graff, NBC29 News.
People on both sides of today's rally are questioning the police response. All that violence broke out in repeated skirmishes for about 2 hours before police declared that unlawful assembly. Both Jason Kessler, the rally organizer, and Charlottesville area defense attorney Jeff Fogel are questioning why it took police so long to intervene.
I'm just amazed that the police have allowed people to assault other people, to throw things at them.
The Charlottesville city government and police refuse to do their jobs. They refuse to protect our event and enforce the terms of the permit as ordered by the federal judge. They created an unsafe environment and denied us our rights.
In a video posted online, Kessler threatened to file another lawsuit over today's action. After that unlawful assembly was declared in Emancipation Park, many of the white activists began making their way to McIntyre Park. A steady stream of Unite the Right supporters made their way down the 250 bypass and into McIntyre Park by the Brooks Family YMCA. A crowd of about 100 people gathered there.
What I'm really concerned about is that they're all walking here, and I don't see a single police officer here. I don't see National Guard. I see a helicopter in the sky. And this is a family neighborhood, and I think that they should have preempted this and been ready for this.
By around 2:30, all that remained were just a few small groups of people standing around as Albemarle County Police and state police watched over that park. Downtown mall businesses reacted differently to today's chaos. Many closed up shop, concerned about potential violence, while others were determined to keep the doors open. Market Street Market, located just a few blocks from the rally, closed its doors at noon before the rally was set to start. Other businesses chose to stay open to protest the rally and serve as a safe space.
We're going to be open. We're going to show them that Charlottesville is not going to be scared or terrified or reactionary to what they're bringing to town.
University of Virginia President Teresa Sullivan says one person was arrested and several people, including a UVA police officer, were hurt during last night's torchlit rally on grounds. Several hundred Unite the Right rally supporters gathered with tiki torches at Nameless Field, then marched through grounds, up the lawn, and ended at the Jefferson statue, where they were met by counter-protesters. That's where things turned physical. The UVA officer was injured while making an arrest. The person arrested was charged with assault and disorderly conduct.
Rise here now to talk about the Unite the Right rally yesterday is City Councilor Bob Fenwick. Hi, Bob. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, Victoria. Thank you.
So, absolutely. And lastly, do you have any advice for people on how to move forward, after such a just tremendous weekend?
Well, first, I'd say to mourn the people that we've lost. We will get into the political part of this. We will get into the after-action reports. How do we make this better?
The story of what really happened.
Shouted down.
Shame on you.
And sworn.
Indict for murder now.
A crowd fights back against the organizer of the alt-right rally that sparked a Saturday of deadly violence in Charlottesville. The victim of a car attack into a crowd of protesters was a 32-year-old woman raised in Greene County, a paralegal and part-time server at a cafe on the UVA corner.
My heart is broken, but I'm very proud of my child.
Tonight, anger turns to promise.
I got up today to say we are going to stand together. We are stronger than these people.
The Charlottesville community mourns and looks for a way to move forward.
We're going to still feel safe here, and nobody's going to take that away from us.
NBC29 continuing coverage starts now.
Kessler is blaming police for not keeping people safe Saturday, but he was met with a big crowd, some of them even calling him a murderer. NBC29's Henry Graff was at a press conference and has the new details for us. Henry?
Hey, Matt, good evening. Yeah, after a brief moment of unrest here in Charlottesville, things have returned to its normal calmness. Jason Kessler was shouted down and chased away from his press conference late this afternoon. And in the end here, 47-year-old Robert Litzenberger was charged with misdemeanor assault and battery for spitting on Kessler. Jason Kessler's press conference in front of Charlottesville City Hall abruptly ended with punches being thrown. The self-proclaimed white activist tried to address reporters Sunday afternoon, but his message was cut short. Kessler was drowned out by a large group of protesters, saying things like shame and say her name. Some even called him a murderer.
The hate that you hear around you, that is the anti-white hate that fueled what happened yesterday.
Kessler is the man behind Saturday's Unite the Right rally that ended in violence, arrests, and left the city on edge.
What happened yesterday was a result of the Charlottesville police officers refusing to do their job. They stood down and did not follow through with the agreed upon security arrangements.
With an angry crowd and media chasing him, Virginia State Police escorted Kessler into Charlottesville Police headquarters to keep him safe. At one point, police officers in riot gear guarded the front doors to the department. Then a city police officer took off with Kessler.
It was our constitutional right to be able to assemble, and we spoke for 2 months.
The unrest continued even after Kessler was long gone. Part of the downtown mall became the scene of a counter-demonstration, with people denouncing white supremacy and racism. Late this afternoon, I did speak with the person who got that first punch-in with Kessler. Jeff Winder says that he was out this weekend to support people of color and to denounce racism, and was glad that Kessler was run out of town.
Had an incredible amount of nerve to come in front of the people of Charlottesville after the pain and suffering and terror that he brought on the community. And he should never be able to show his face in town again. And I'm glad that people in that mob attacked him.
And tomorrow, Kessler may hold another press conference, this time in Washington, D.C. He said earlier during that news conference it will be with Richard Spencer and with other people that were supposed to speak at that Unite the Right rally in Emancipation Park, Matt.
They staged a bump fight and you lost! We had a permit.
But first, this noon hour, more unrest outside a Charlottesville courthouse with a man charged in connection with a fatal car attack appeared in court for his first hearing. James Alex Fields Jr. is accused of plowing his car into a crowd Saturday following the Unite the Right rally. That went before a judge for the first time today. He had a brief hearing in Charlottesville General District Court. NBC29's Henry Graff is live with the court details.
Hi, Sharon. Sharon, good afternoon. James Alex Fields Jr. was denied bond during a short, brief hearing this morning. He's facing a second-degree murder charge, among others. After that hearing, several of Fields' supporters started yelling at media and others outside the General District Courthouse. Matthew Heimbach promised that the Nazis would return to Charlottesville with another rally. He blamed the violence and car attack on police and the radical left. Police had to intervene at one point and escorted Heimbach away from the crowd chanting, "Nazis, go home" at him.
We defended ourselves. We brought helmets and shields while the enemy brought improvised flamethrowers, while they brought bleach, while they brought paint, while they brought sticks, and they brought knives. The nationalist community defended ourselves against thugs in a battle that was brought by this city that wanted a bloodbath.
Heimbach also defended Fields, saying the 20-year-old feared for his life, and that is why he allegedly plowed through a crowd of people, killing one person and injuring 19 others. Fields was also given a court-appointed attorney, Charles Weber, from the city of Charlottesville, and Fields will be back in court coming up on August 25th at 11 a.m. We are live this afternoon here at City General District Court. I'm Henry Graff, NBC29 News.
Henry, thank you. We are learning more about James Alex Fields. He can be seen at Saturday's rally with Vanguard America. That is a known racist right-wing group.